Good evening. Since 6 p.m., the Board of Education has been in closed session to consider the following: discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district. Litigation, when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal. And collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. I will entertain a motion to come out of closed session. A motion and a second are heard. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we are in open session. Good evening and welcome to the April 22nd business meeting. Our mission is to educate students to be self-directed learners, collaborative workers, complex thinkers, quality producers, and community contributors. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Board members present this evening: Kristen Fitzgerald, Donna Wanke, Charles Cush, Paul Leong, Terry Fielden, Christine Gerke, and Janet Yangrohr.
Okay. At this point, we would like to welcome our students here from Meadow Glens to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you for inviting us to help say the pledge at the board meeting. My name's Katie Lynch. I'm the building principal at Meadow Glens.
My name is Nitin. I'm in Miss LaFleur's class. I'm PI plus 5th grader.
My name is Shivaji in Mr. Matchalot's class, and I'm also a PI plus 5th grader.
My name is Arushi Tolia, and I'm in Mrs. Dexel's PI plus class.
My name is Emily Hu, and I'm in Mr. Horner's PI plus class.
My name is Blake Pickering, and I'm in Mrs. Todd's PI plus 4th grade class.
My name's Ivy, and I'm in Miss Khan's PI plus 4th grade class.
My name is Barry Morgan, and I'm in Miss Chidley's 5th grade class.
My name is Madeline Losi, and I am in Miss Marshall's 5th grade class.
My name is Nina Zahn, and I'm in Miss Mason's 5th grade class.
Parents and guests, as soon as Mrs. Mondini is done with our picture, you're welcome to come up into the center area and take closer pictures if you would like to. Thank you to our friends from Meadow Glens. Okay, we have a number of recognitions this evening that we are excited to share with you. And our first will be our monthly Mission Maker Award. Every month, the Board of Education recognizes and celebrates students throughout our school district who exemplify the district's mission statements. And I have to tell you, the work of Jack and Nick is pretty impressive here. And I'm thrilled to be able to share this with you. And I'm going to invite Naperville North Principal Stephanie Posey to come forward and tell you about their nomination and why we are recognizing them this evening as community contributors.
Thank you. Nick and Jack, you want to join me up here, please? It's my pleasure to introduce to you Naperville North students Nick and Jack Betcher. As part of a Kennedy Junior High School class project a year ago, Nick decided to use his talents to make an impact on the world around him. Enlisting the help of his brother Jack, the boys decided to use their passion in music as a resource and set out to develop a music mentor program at the Warrenville Youth Center, a part of the Illinois Youth Detention Center. The boys have faced many obstacles: instrument access, inconsistent attendance due to the unpredictable events at the detention center, low self-esteem and confidence, and variable education levels, not to mention not being taken seriously because of their age. After convincing the facility to allow them to come in, they completed background checks and committed to come regularly, knowing that these kids have been let down repeatedly in their lives. They also needed to have enough instruments for the kids to play, so they partnered with Austin's Violin Shop to donate the use of several cellos and a double bass. With the No Repeats project, one of the biggest challenges is working with incarcerated teens with low self-esteem whose backgrounds, both educationally and musically, are so different from theirs. However difficult it may seem, Nick believes it is also the best part. At first, the teens were unsure and would immediately hand off the instrument to someone else if they felt like they'd messed up. And Nick acknowledged struggling with how to teach the things he could do naturally after years of playing the cellos and the double bass. They had to break down even the most simple task in a way that teens could understand. So Nick and Jack brainstormed non-traditional methods of teaching playing, including using songs that might be more appealing to them. Somewhat ironically, playing Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal kind of broke the ice, and the teens became more comfortable trying the instruments. One student was so proud to have learned Twinkle Twinkle that the night before his release from the detention facility, he showed off his skills to everyone he could, other teens, the guards, and staff. Nick credits the success of their program to so many people, and while they still have challenges to overcome, they hope that as the program grows, it continues to increase self-esteem and music appreciation among teens, and decreases their likelihood of coming back after they leave. Hence the name No Repeats. Nick and Jack, great job.
Congratulations, and thank you for exemplifying the district's mission statement. Very well done. Personal connection as they go running out the door. My parents both worked in the Illinois Department of Corrections for most of their careers. My dad as the principal at the Illinois Youth Center in St. Charles. So reading about this one was very inspirational to me, and I appreciate the work that you did, guys. Congratulations. Okay, we also get to celebrate an IHSA Varsity State Championship this evening in congressional debate. I'd like to invite Principal Wiesbrook to come forward. I'll invite Mr. Wiesbrook to bring forward the coaches, introduce the coaches and the team.
Very proud to introduce our state champ debaters and their coaches, our social studies teacher, Randy Smith. Nice round of applause for Mr. Smith. And social studies teacher, Rob Lujai. All of our coaches give lots of their time to leading kids after school, weekends, big commitment, and I appreciate your guidance and leadership and influence over the students who I'd like to introduce. So let's meet our champion, state champ debate team. First, we have Anusha Kumar. And I'm guessing you are Hannah Fuchs. All right, that's a good idea. Pratik Dulur. Pratik? Sophia Hussein. Rishab Jain. William Ma. James Royal. James also was crowned the individual state champ for debate. So 2 awards for James. Congratulations. Joseph Rubis. William Tong. And Vivian Zhao. Congratulations to our state champ debate team.
So once our coaches join their team, we'll have a quick picture for our publication, and then we'll invite any family or friends who would like to come closer for a picture to also do that as well. And I suppose to kill a little time here, my political commentary would be a non-political comment about, I hope as congressional debaters you are able to model what we expect out of high ethical standards and debate among our congresspeople. Okay, family or friends, if you'd like to come up closer for a picture, you're welcome to do so, please. This is what it's like when you walk down the steps on the hill and all the paparazzi and the media are out there getting your attention, right? Again, congratulations. We are so proud of you. Very well done. Please join me in congratulating our team from Naperville Central. State championships this year are not reserved to the high school level. Please join me in welcoming Madison Junior High School Principal Aaron Anderson to come forward to recognize a state champion from Madison Junior High School.
Good evening. I'd like to also welcome Adam Schmidt, our Social Science Department Coordinator, and Akbar, I'd like you to come on up. Not only is this young man a talented social science, geography gentleman that has done quite a lot in terms of his preparation and his hard work at Madison, but I'm going to ask Mr. Schmidt to share a little bit about all the work that has gone into his journey to be a state champion and where it's taking him in the future.
So it started at the beginning of this year in the fall when Omkar came to my office and said, "Excuse me, are you the department chair? I just need to know when the geography bee is going to happen." And after that, he has been keeping tabs on it, and I wish that I could take any kind of credit for it, but it is all him. And where this happens is most of our junior highs have a geography bee at some level, and there's a school winner, and it's fantastic. But then Omkar moved on to the regionals, and then moved on to the state. And one of the great moments we had at school is we had a pep rally where we recognized our basketball teams and our athletics, and the kids cheered for everybody. But when I came out and announced that UMCAR was going to the state, the kids went crazy. The whole building was behind him, and it's so cool that geography is exciting, and the kids are so excited for it. And over spring break, he came home a state champion. So UMCAR is now going to represent Madison and District 203 on the national level next month. This young man is a competitor, and we're so proud of him. Great job.
Well, UMCAR, we'll expect to see you back here in a few months celebrating your national championship. No pressure. Okay, please feel free to come a lot closer if you'd like to. Come on up if you want. Come on up. There's a whole big open space right here, too. You're welcome to come closer. Okay. What a great night. Congratulations and thank you.
That was a lot of good news. I do not have any slips of paper for anyone wishing to address the Board of Education. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the Board of Education? Okay. We will go on to item 6, our monthly reports. Listed in board docs are our monthly reports, Treasury, Investments, Insurance, and Budget. Do any of the Board of Education members have any questions about our monthly reports? Okay, we will go on to our consent agenda.
For the consent agenda, with the board's permission, we're going to ask that we pull item 7.04. Mr. Francis and his team are going to do a little additional research and work prior to a recommendation come forward. We should plan on having that on May 6th, I would expect. But if it's okay with the board, we'll request no action this evening on item 7.04.
All right, so then we will have the consent agenda. I was the person privileged to review bills and claims. Great process that we have there. So I will move approval of warrant number 1014860 through warrant number 1015828, totaling $29,225,103.68 for the period of March 19th, 2019 to April 22nd, 2019, and items 701, 702, 703, 705, 706, 707, 708, and 709. Well, I didn't call 704, so it should be just correct.
Second.
A motion and so that was the motion, and then a second are heard. Would you please call the roll, Mrs. Patton?
Gerke, Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Fielden,
Yes.
Cush,
Aye.
Yangroor, Wanke,
Yes.
Leong.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 8, communications. We have both our student ambassadors present. Welcome. Which one of you would like to go first? Okay, Haley.
Good evening, everyone. Even as the school year continues to come to a close with our seniors having only 19 more days of school until graduation, there is still plenty going around in and around Naperville North. In athletics, our boys gymnastics team competed in the independent conference meet this weekend. The varsity finished 4th overall place with many individual seniors placing as well. Our girls water polo team took the win against Lincoln Way Central 11-7 in the championship game at their last conference, which was at home. And our men's tennis had a 4-1 win over Lake Forest last week. In the arts department, the Naperville North Spring Musical, Les Mis, will open this Wednesday at 7 p.m. and will also be shown Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 and 7 p.m. In our social life at North, we will have our second annual Holly Color Dance on May 18th for students to celebrate the end of the year and also have a last bit of fun before final season really settles in. We also have our Battle of the Bands coming up. The winner of this event will perform on the main stage at Ribfest this year. And our annual auto show is coming up on May 10th, which will be throughout the school day on May 10th. In addition, our student government elections and our exec elections will be occurring this Friday and next Friday, so that will be the person who takes my place. And on May 7th, we are having a parent screening of the documentary Screenager in the Naperville North Learning Commons, and this documentary highlights the use of technology in teenagers' lives and the impact that technology has on teens, and that will be followed by a student panel so that parents and teenagers can talk about the impact of technology. Thank you so much for your time.
Great report. Seamus.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. As we head into our final weeks of school, or 18 and a half days for seniors, but who's counting? Central still has a bunch of events. Central has a bunch of events to look forward to still. So first off, our spring musical, which is Central's production of Chicago, has several shows coming up starting this Thursday, April 25th at 7:30. And then also Saturday the 27th at 2:30 and 7:30, and another 2:30 on Sunday, all of which will be in our auditorium. Spanish Honor Society will hold its induction ceremony Wednesday, May 1st at 7 p.m. And on May 3rd, the annual Orchesis Showcase will take place also at 7 p.m. Monday, May 6th, during our next meeting, the Senior Academic Awards ceremony will be held again at 7 p.m. So if you're looking for somewhere to be other than here, that's a good option. And Monday the 6th also marks the beginning of AP testing for all students. And finally, NCHS's prom will be held at the Embassy Suites on May 4th from 6 to 11 p.m. And this year's theme is Here's to Never Growing Up. So I hope everyone has a great finish to April, and thank you for your time.
Thank you both for those great reports. Okay, moving on to Superintendent Staff School Report.
Annually, as part of our capital improvement plan, we are in the process of updating learning commons across the district. And at the request of the Board of Education last year, we added kind of a step into our process of updating you on the work that we have planned for the upcoming summer. So Mike Francis, our Chief Financial Officer, Chief School Business Official, Nancy Voice, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education, and Chuck Freund, Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, have collaboratively worked together to prepare that update. And I'll turn it over, I think, to Mr. Freund to deliver some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. I'll actually make some comments. In board docs is a memo that has the 3 plans for our upcoming summer work. But I'd like to kind of work backwards a little bit and give you a little history to go along with the plans for summer of 2019. As Mr. Bridges referred to, we've been hard at work for the past 3+ summers, modernizing our learning commons areas in several of our schools. To date, we've fully completed 12 learning commons spaces through our collaborative process and design. Our process for design aims to create new spaces that enhance 4 key focal areas: innovation and creation, inquiry and research, literacy growth, and communication and collaboration. In September of 2018, our funds for this coming summer were approved within the Buildings and Grounds budget, allowing us to continue the work for additional schools. Shortly after the budget was approved, we identified 3 schools based on their readiness. This included a review of their vision in alignment to those 4 focal areas I referred to, the readiness by school leadership and staff, and the gap between the current state in that school, Learning Commons area, and our intended future state. Those schools are Beebe, Kennedy Junior High School, and Scott, which will take us to a completion of 15 Learning Commons by the end of this coming summer. Back in November, that design process began for each of those 3 schools. Several meetings were held to align each school's vision with the Learning Commons design that most appropriately meets the goals of their school community. I want to point out that purchasing and construction is in cooperation with the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance and the National Joint Powers Alliance to ensure guaranteed lowest bid prices. Tonight, we're sharing the 3 designs with you and the community and are able to report that the costs associated with these designs are within that planned budget. I'm happy to try and answer any questions the board may have this evening.
Thank you for that review. Questions from the board?
Before questions, if I can, I think just something that we'll have to schedule at some point at a request of one board member who won't have the opportunity to take advantage of that. We will come back at a future meeting, I think, and show you some of the work that has been completed. As Mr. Fielden pointed out to me, this is great, but seeing the finished product is even better. So we will certainly celebrate the work once it's completed at the end of the summer.
I don't see any other questions, but thank you for highlighting the way that our LCs are modernized to continue to improve literacy, but also to allow for additional collaboration and learning. Okay, moving on to the President's report. Just as a reminder, we have rescheduled our board self-evaluation meeting for June 4th. So that will be June 4th instead of June 12th. Okay, any Board of Education reports? Item 8.06. Okay, we will go to discussion without action, and we have no discussion without action this evening. So we will move on to discussion with action. Item 10.01, policy review, second reading, policy 2.142, diversity.
At the April 8th Board of Education meeting, we brought forward several policies, some as a periodic review, some as an annual review of our policies. And Mr. Ross and Mrs. Voice presented the majority of these policies to the Board of Education for your first consideration. And so we'll ask staff to run through those again and address any questions that came forward or respond to any additional conversation. I will indicate on Board Policy 2142, which is an item 10.01. We're asking for approval of the policy. But with that, we will be posting or bringing to you at a future point, just for your review, a more current definition of diversity for our district that has been authored by our Diversity Advisory Committee with staff. We are still in the process of collecting some feedback on that, but I think that's a nice procedure to attach to the policy. And once that's complete, we will bring that forward for you as well. It is a little bit more robust than what is currently in the policy, but I think too lengthy for inclusion within the policy. So with that, Mr. Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Yes, since at the last meeting, the board did have some feedback on policy 2142. So what you'll see in board docs today is the current policy, and then if you scroll down, the proposed policy. Red font and strike-throughs, you saw those last meeting. Green font has been added since the last meeting, was an attempt to capture the feedback that the board provided. I'd be pleased to try to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? I think it looks great. Do you have a comment? Nope. And I think it will also benefit from including the administrative procedure. So wonderful. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move approval of item 10.01 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Kush.
Aye.
Leong. Aye. Yangroor. Aye. Fielden.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Wanke. Yes. Gerke.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 10.02, policy review, second reading policy 6.60, curriculum content.
And this policy sits in the same state it was in at the last meeting. There have been no changes since the last meeting. Be pleased to try to answer any questions if there are any.
Any additional questions from the Board of Education? Thank you for the answers that you provided at our previous meeting. And if there's no additional questions, I'll take a motion.
I move approval of item 10.02, policy review, second reading, policy 6.60, curriculum content as presented.
A motion and a second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Leong. Aye. Yangroor. Aye. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Gerke. Wanke. Yes. Kush.
Aye.
Fielden.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 10.03, policy review, second reading, policy 7.140, search and seizure.
Our last meeting, I made the one change, as you had recommended, to go back and include the statement regarding staff notification or parent notification, and that was the only other change recommended, so that's what you see in front of you today.
Okay, and I know we discussed at length the community review of this with our advisory committee, so thank you to our committee. That was very broad and for their feedback as well. Questions or comments from the board?
With this policy and with any of the policies, how are the kids informed of, like, how are they made aware of this?
There is a beginning of the year assembly where all the students attend in smaller groups, class groups or classrooms, and they go over all the policies with administration.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, I will take a motion then.
I move to approve item 10.03 as presented.
A motion is second or heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Kush.
Aye.
Leong. Yangror. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Wanke.
Yes.
Fielden.
Yes.
Gerke.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 10.04, policy review, second reading, policy 7.190, student discipline.
And this policy remains as it did from the last reading. There were no amendments suggested at that time.
I'll only add also with this one, just again, for those who may not have seen the agenda or the presentation last time, we do use a community group made up of staff members, administrators, parents, and students to provide input and feedback to administration prior to making recommendations to the board. And I believe Mr. Cush and Mr. Leong were the board liaisons to that committee.
Any additional comments or questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move approval of item 10.04, student discipline, as presented.
Motion and second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Leong. Aye. Fielden.
Yes.
Wanke.
Yes.
Kush.
Aye.
Gerke. Yangror.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye. The motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 10.05, policy review, second reading, policy 7.240, co-curricular code of participation.
This policy was also reviewed annually with the committee. Again, Mr. Cush and Mr. Leong sat in on part of that committee. There were no recommendations. There was an omission of the revised part, but that was included later. So that is there today for you too, but there were no other recommended changes.
We'll note that that item was attached, which had not been addressed in our last board meeting. Are there any questions on that or the other? Okay, thank you to our two board members for serving as our representatives as a part of that committee. It's a very valuable committee. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve item 10.05 as presented.
Second.
A motion and second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Leong. Aye. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Wanke.
Yes.
Yangror.
Aye.
Gerke. Kush.
Aye.
Fielden.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 10.06, consideration of Board of Education expenses.
In accordance with school code and Board of Education policy, the Board of Education is required to approve or to vote on all member expenses for travel, meals, or lodging through a roll call vote at an open meeting. There are a number of reimbursements or expenses here for your approval and consideration, including trips for professional advocacy and professional development in Springfield, hosting an Illinois Association of School Boards DuPage Division dinner, which you'll note that we also received some reimbursement from the DuPage IASB. We'll try to address any questions.
Are there questions from the Board of Education regarding the Board of Education expenses? I would only note that these are both highly valuable opportunities that our board was able to participate in, the Education Alliance in Springfield, as well as the DuPage Division Dinner, which continue the board's education as well as continuing to build our relationships with legislators. So thank you to the board members for attending. These are definitely worthwhile expenditures. Donna.
So typically when we look at board expenses, we don't have the whole dinner in our expenses because we only have the portion for the 7 of us and Dan and maybe a couple of others. So I just think it's important to note to the community that the 180 people were from across the state and we just hosted, or I don't know if you want to speak to that, Dan, just to give some clarity.
No, again, as members of the Illinois Association of School Boards, you're also a member of the local portion of that, DuPage Division, and part of the professional development for board members are a fall and a spring dinner meeting. professional development is offered to boards of education and their superintendents, and it is traditionally with a dinner. There is a cost to attend that for board members and administrators, but for the host district, the cost is offset then by DuPage Division. So that's what you see here. Again, the expense, the total expense posted, not the total expense for this board alone, but we did have expenses for those who attended.
But you can also see the reimbursement by the Illinois Association of School Boards.
Thank you.
Any questions from anyone on that? I think that was also a great opportunity for us to host the ISB dinner. So thank you to all of you who worked so hard on that. I know that it was effort from our staff to put that together, and it was great. If there are no other questions or comments, we will take a motion.
Move approval of item 10.06, consideration of Board of Education expenses as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Gerke, Fielden.
Yes.
Leong. Wanke.
Yes.
Yangrohr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Kush.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Moving on to item 10.07, agreement with NUEA.
I am pleased to share with the Board of Education and Community that through collaboration and very meaningful communication, the Board of Education and Naperville Unit Education Association have reached a tentative agreement on a one-year contract. That tentative agreement has been ratified by the NUEA membership. You've seen it in its draft form. Pending your vote, that will become a contract for the 1920 school year, which will then be made available publicly and posted on our district website. NUEA President Mark Bailey is with us this evening, and so I'd like to thank Mark for his leadership with the association, his commitment to ensuring that this district is in a position to think about its long-term future and how to best serve its kids while recognizing and embracing the significant contributions made by its professionals. So, Mark, thank you for that and your spirit of collaboration at the table as we agreed to this contract. The Board of Education has seen the draft of this. I'm recommending you approve the one-year contract as presented. Pending your vote, I'll share some information. We'll have additional information to release to the media and to the public regarding that contract.
Thank you for that summary. Questions or comments from the board? I would just note that this continues the collaborative spirit of our educators and the district administration and the board to improve student learning with the fiscal stewardship our community has come to expect.
I just want to thank Mark and our educators as well, just for it's something that the board works very hard at to find a balance between honoring and uplifting our staff, and at the same time trying to balance that with meeting the financial stewardship that we're supposed to with the community. And so trying to find that balance is important, and I'm just happy that we can do both at the same time. So thank you.
We highly value your partnership. Any other comments or thoughts? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the agreement with NUEA, item number 10.07, as presented.
A motion, a second are heard. Please call the roll, Mrs. Patton.
Yangrohr. Kush.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Leong. Fielden.
Yes.
Wanke.
Yes.
Gerke.
Okay, the motion passes.
Congratulations to the NUEA, as also to the Board of Education on, I think, this very positive agreement between the association and the board. Early in the process, we worked with the association to really think about any potential changes that we're still working on regarding any school day or how we want to best serve our kids. And I appreciate the association approaching it from giving us a little bit more time to think thoroughly about how we want to best structure and think about our school days. And so how can we look at moving forward with the terms of the current contract? So again, this is a one-year contract for next year, which will allow us additional time to work on collaboratively thinking about any changes we'd like to see to our school day. It certainly meets our current needs, and it gives us the time that we think is necessary to really do a thoughtful and intentional job. Again, as I had mentioned in my opening comments, the spirit throughout the entire process has been very collaborative and thoughtful about ensuring that we have an environment that always thinks about how we best serve our kids, but honors, respects, and values the professionalism and the commitment of our educators in this school district, because we know a lot of our success is attributed to the work that is done by those educators. Some of the key terms of this new contract, which again, now that it has been approved by both the NUEA as well as the Board of Education, will be made publicly available. A one-year contract for the 1920 school year that carries over the majority of the terms that were in the 2016 to 2019 contract. Base salary increases will be 1.75%. The average returning teacher salary increase, when figured the base increase with STEP, will be 3.88%. The total additional salary cost to the district or to our taxpayers is only 1.61%. So again, thoughtful spirit of collaboration. Congratulations, Mark, and thank you for your leadership over a number of years. I know you're relieved to be ending your term as president and your term in District 203 with a successful contract in place. So I want to thank you for that. We'll look forward to working with you this year or with NUEA this year and really thinking about our long-term future. So thanks, Mark.
Okay, moving on to item 11, old business. We do not have any old business. Item 12, new business. We do not have any new business. Item 13, upcoming events.
Really excited about the Focus 203 session scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday of this week. We're going to focus on diversity, inclusion in District 203. Very important topic for us as we think about our gap closing efforts, achievement gap closing efforts, a more inclusive environment to try to get more parents throughout the community involved in our school district, and then also our focus on increasing the diversity within our workforce. An important conversation, an area where we value and we really hope to get community feedback and community input. We know these are all areas of growth for us and an area for us to get better. It was once described, our Focus 203s have tended to focus on things that we're doing pretty good, and how can we get even better? But we know this is an area that we have a lot of growth, and so we're really looking forward to some community input on this. So please plan to attend either Wednesday evening at Naperville Central or on Thursday morning at Compass Church. And again, you'll see a number of end-of-the-year activities as we're winding down the 2018-2019 school year. So that's it.
Okay, any other things we want to Paul?
Before we adjourn, I'd like to mention this is Board Member Terry Fielden's final voting meeting. I'd like to thank him for his many years of service.
I think we'll recognize and honor Terry in that last bit there. We are going to make him vote one more time on a consent agenda. Yeah, I think the Terry Fielden party will be for sure May 6th. So
yes.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate the words. Just to say.
Absolutely.
I might be ill May 6th. We'll see.
But absolutely, this was the last full board meeting, and so we appreciate your presence here, and we'll look forward to many words of acknowledgement in our May meeting. All right. Just one other note, end of the year, many upcoming events for our students, families, and community. And we also have that May 3rd NEF Let's Do Lunch, which I know our board is going to attempt to make a board table as well. And thank you to our community for their support of NEF at that luncheon if they're able to attend. Okay. All right. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A motion and a second are heard. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.